What's up, guys, and welcome back to another video. I'm Bandit Barney, bringing you everything you need to know about Red Dead Online. If you end up enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. We got daily Red Dead Online content, and today we're going to be going over 5 tips to help you make more money. Now, we're gearing these tips more towards free roam. There's a ton of little things around the online in Red Dead that you can do to help yourself earn more money. Today, we're going to keep it to 5 around hunting and fishing. For experienced players, not all of this is going to be new, but if you have something that I didn't go over, make sure to put it in the comments down below, so if someone new comes by or when I go to look through the comments, I can learn a little bit from that. And you know, there's tips that you guys bring out, including one in today's list that you guys bring in the comments that are super helpful, so don't forget to do that. With that being said, let's dive into our first tip, which is going to help you against griefers. Now, this is a tip that's really gonna help you when you got your horse full and you're just worried about getting griefed here and there, and that is getting the right ability cards. Because the worst thing that can happen, and it's happened to all of us, is you get your horse fully loaded up after 20 or 30 minutes of hunting and some guy headshots you. You lose all your pelts, your carcasses, your birds, anything you had that's not in your satchel, you lose it all. So getting the right ability cards can help you out greatly. And the one that's gonna really set you apart from the rest is one that's harder to unlock. I'm only level 32, and this ability card is a level 46 unlock, I believe, and that's called Never Without One. This ability card will make it so your hat will block one headshot and then fall off. While not wearing a hat, you take more damage, which really isn't a big deal, because when you're by your horse or when you're hunting, you always have your horse with you, and when your horse is with you, you can equip a hat. So you don't need to worry about the negative side of this. And the positive side is that when you are going past someone and you're not sure if they're a griefer or not, the only time they're ever gonna one-shot kill you is if they have their shotgun out and they're near you and they body shot you. Anytime they shoot you at distance in the head, which is the only way to one-shot kill someone who's full health, you're not gonna get hurt. And at that point, that leads into the second ability that's gonna help you, which is slow and steady. While Deadeye is active, you take less damage and headshots do not outright kill you. This is going to help you where if you do get that initial shot from the person, initiate your Deadeye, and then once slow and steady is maxed out, headshots do the equivalent of body shots. At that point, you can either decide to fight back or just go for the escape and eat your tonics on your way out to survive the engagement. This is a way that you're going to be able to avoid getting that last second grief right before you turn in your pelts. One thing I'd like to add on to this is get Eye for an Eye. This is an easy one to get as well, and this makes it so headshots restore Deadeye. Once you have this fully maxed out, every headshot will give you a quarter of your Deadeye bar, and this works against animals too. So after a little bit of hunting, you'll have full Deadeye, and then you can have your slow and steady engaged for a while you're on your horse. Now, slow and steady says that you can't run while you're using it, but you don't need to run because you can still use slow and steady while you're on your horse. These are 3 ability cards that are really going to help you with your free roam activities. And that'll take us into number 2, which is if you miss a shot on a deer. Let's say you're shooting a deer and you miss the headshot and it gets wounded and it runs away. Look, guys, I know Peter would not be happy with me saying this, but just let that dirtbag whine and cry until it dies. Now look, if this was real life, I would say that is a terrible thing to do. But we're in a video game, and if you shoot an animal twice, you lose the quality on the pelt. So if you hit a deer and it runs off a little bit and then it falls down on the ground and it's just in those last stages of life and you're thinking, should I put this guy out of his misery or not? You let that dirtbag cry until its last breath. And then you take the pelt for the full worth that it is. Kind of savage, I know, but it's true. If you let the guy bleed out, then you get the pelt for the highest quality possible at that point. Rather than getting the poor quality, you could keep it good, or possibly, I don't know if you can keep it perfect, but it will stay good. It won't lower in quality, unlike if you shoot it again to put it out of misery. That goes into our third one, which is if you're having trouble in when you're hunting and like you're in a hilly area, or maybe there's certain trees or things around that make it really hard to get the headshot on your deer, then what you can do is throw the lasso. And this doesn't just work if you're in a hilly area. Let's say sometimes you get on and your shot's just off and you're not getting those headshots and you're just continually missing, and you see that perfect buck or that perfect whitetail deer, use your lasso. If you're on your horse, pull out your lasso, get up to the deer and lasso it. And then what you can do is, as you jump off your horse, it will automatically jump you off. You can start reeling in yourself towards the deer, and then you can get the perfect kill with a knife. This is a really good way of making sure that when you see a 3-star buck or a 3-star white-tailed deer, you can get that perfect kill, which is important because if you get a 3-star buck, that's $10 on the carcass as long as you keep it in perfect condition. So using a lasso to help you out there will be beneficial if your shot's a little bit off in that moment or you're in a more difficult area. One thing to note, if you're using the lasso and then the buck takes a turn around a tree or something like that, you will lose the lasso. So if you're in a treed area, and that's why it's kind of hard to get the headshot, what I do is I chase the animal out and then either use your gun or use the lasso. That's the best way to do that. Number 4. Now this is something that I didn't catch on to because in the story mode, when you buy a scope for your gun, you automatically use the scope on the gun. But in online, you can toggle between those two options. So in online, you can choose not to use the scope, and scopes will increase the accuracy of your gun. Now, I'm not sure how much of a benefit this has when you're using your gun I'll just call it unsighted. If we're not scoping in, we're unsighted is not the right word. We're unscoped, right? I'm not sure how much of an accuracy bonus you get when you're unscoped. There may be a little bit there, but not a ton. If you use your scope though, you can toggle between this. This comes especially in handy when you're in an area where there's a large distance between you and your prey. And this happens sometimes in areas you'll see deer from far away, and before they get alerted to you, they'll be feeding on the grass below them or something like that. And if you zoom in, or if you just aim down sights without a scope, sometimes when you shoot your bolt action rifle or whatever you're using, that rifle will hit them either in the throat area or it'll miss and hit the grass. So having that scope that you can transition to, if you're able to catch a deer at distance before they start moving, it's a really good way of getting those easier kills without risking, injuring them and missing the head, or just scaring them off and then having to go on the chase. So get a scope on your rifle, and that's going to help you get into a better position when you're taking down your prey. Now, some bonus things that we have here. There's carcass fishing is a huge thing, and you probably all know about it. Sometimes using a smaller carcass, in fact, more often than not, getting like a turkey, like a medium-sized carcass is going to be better, or a fox is going to be better than using a larger one, because you can be more precise. The carcass will take up less space, and then when fish swim up to it, there's a larger area of shallow water around the carcass that the fish can die in. So if you have the opportunity, or you can see, hey, this area might work better with a smaller carcass, go to like a turkey or a fox. It'll probably help you get more fish in a quicker time. One downside is they can be harder to place in the water, but it's worth it once you get it placed down. Another one that I talk about in plenty of my videos is loading into a region like Lemoyne or New Austin and then fast traveling away from there to get into an area before you start farming, a hunting run, or a fishing run. Do that every single time before you start one of those runs, and then you get in an area of the map where you're away from other players and you don't need to worry about being griefed as much, at least until Rockstar comes in with the griefing changes that they announced yesterday. This is something that I like to utilize pretty much every video I record for you guys. Last bonus piece before we get to our 5th tip, maximizing your routes. So if you have a fishing route and it's near a hunting area, but you're only using the fishing route, combine the two. I didn't think hunting was as good as it was or is, because I was so enamored by, hey, if I put a carcass in the water, fish will just swim up and it's so easy. But you can make a ton of money by hunting deer and other things in the roads and underneath tumbleweed, which are two areas where there's actually good fishing spots as well. So in roads, you have Ringneck Creek, where you can get 10 trout super easily. That comes out to be 20 something bucks. And then you have tons of deer there and birds as well. So combine your routes. Make sure you're combining your routes. Pretty straightforward, but ironically, it's something that I wasn't doing for a while. And if you haven't been doing it, combine your routes. It's going to make you a lot more effective at that money making while hunting and fishing. On to our 5th tip. Now, this is something that I just learned from you guys in the comments yesterday, and that is that when you shoot a fish with the varmint rifle, and you make it a 2-star fish, it's worth the exact same amount as a 3-star fish. So 2-star fish and perfect fish, 3-star fish, are worth the same. There's no degradation of quality there. Like, it says that it's less quality, but when you go to the butcher, you're gonna earn the same amount of fish, and they stack in the same pile. A 3-star trout will stack with a 2-star trout, and on and on. But if you go to 1-star, that's when you're gonna see a price difference. So I don't know if this is something that's, I'm pretty sure it's unintended, but for right now, a 2-star fish is worth the same as a 3-star fish. So you can just go around, and when you're fishing in an area, if the fish are somewhat near and underneath you, you can just shoot them with the varmint rifle rather than, you know, going and making small game arrows and using your bow and arrow. The varmint rifle is going to work perfectly fine. It will say that the fish is 2-star, but you're going to earn the same amount of money for those fish. That's going to do it for our 5 tips, guys. Some of these were pretty straightforward, but if you have anything to add on here, or I know there's tons of things out there that you guys are utilizing in order to make a little bit more money here and there, because you guys let me know in the comments of almost every single video. So if you have something to add, don't be shy, put it down below. Unless you want to hoard it for yourself, you dirtbag. There's a few of you out there, and hey, if that's you, no hate, but we'll find out. We'll find your method, and we'll expose you. Thank you guys for all the recent support. Really appreciate it. Look forward to growing this channel with you guys in this community. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you in a future video. Until then, take care.